Cloud. I see the new names coming here. So yeah, good evening. Welcome to our Astral City study. Once again, any of you, please feel free to jump in and make any questions, comments, We are now continuing from this point where we stopped last week. Why not asking Clarence? He never fails to ask about you and is sure to do his best on your behalf. Go and ask him for advice and assistance. I took the necessary steps to obtain an appointment with my generous benefactor and was told that he would not be able to see me until the next morning, when I was to go to his private office. I've waited anxiously for the becoming interview and very early the following day. It showed to us that we have an organization on the other side, right? It's not like we do what we want anytime we want. I made my way to the appointed place. To my great surprise, I found 3 other people already waiting for him. The kind minister had arrived early, long before us, and was seeing to matters even more important than attending to visitors and petitioners. After finishing his most urgent work, the minister had us shown in 2 by 2. I was surprised at this manner of holding an audience, but was told later that the measure was adopted so that the solution of one case might profit not only the party involved, but also the others present, thus serving the common well-being as well as saving time. We also see that in the mediumship meetings, when we are giving the assistance to one spirit, he's never alone. There are others that have similar situations, similar problems. They are in need of similar help, and they are helped at the same time. After several minutes had passed, I was admitted along with an elderly lady who was to be heard first. The minister welcomed us cordially, putting us at ease to present our requests. Worthy Clarence began my unknown companion. I have come to beg your intercession on behalf of my 2 sons. I can't bear to be separated from them any longer. Moreover, I have been informed that they are leading difficult lives on earth, with no end to their tribulations. I realize that our Father's designs are loving and just, yet as a mother, I cannot help worrying and being anxious. Interesting. He was describing here the situation of the people that are there asking for his attention, right? But I think that as we move on, we'll see why he's giving that introduction to us. The poor creature broke down and wept bitterly. Clarence looked at her with sympathy and kindness, but replied firmly, "But sister, if you agree that our Father's designs are holy and just, what is left for me to do?" Let me highlight it here. He replied firmly. He was very assertive in his answer. It's very difficult to give support to people when everyone is only expecting nice words, expecting only us to nod and say, yes, you're right, yes, 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 yes. Here in this example, Clarence was very straight to the point. What you are saying is right, so what are you doing here then? I have other things to do, kind of, right? So sometimes that is required. I should like to be granted the means of protecting my sons on earth myself, replied the afflicted mother. Alas, my friend, claimed Clarence, in order to protect others, one must have grown in the spirit of humility and service. What would you think of a man who, anxious to provide for his little children, remain comfortably at home? Service and cooperations are laws created by the Father, and no one may break them without causing himself serious damage. Has your conscience nothing to say on this point? How many bonuses can you present to justify your demand? Let me stop here. Right. Two things got my attention. First of all, when we want to be close to the loved ones because they are on earth and we are disconnected, sometimes alone our presence is good enough to create problems. Because sometimes we are not prepared to it. Sometimes our vibration, regardless if it's my son, my daughter, my husband, whatever, my presence beside them will hurt them because my energy is not appropriated enough to help them. I know you love them. Of course you love them. But at that particular moment in time, you are not in condition to help. You need to be prepared before you contemplate that situation. The other thing that, yes?
Sorry, but if I understand correctly, when they say like how many bonus hours you had, so if you have lots of bonus hours, if you're kind of breaking bonus hours, for example, then you can come and kind of like protect others. You may be granted to come and protect others or members of a family.
We should not consider that the quantity, the amount of bonuses is what we will grant you access to that activity. But if you have like 100 hours, you've been exposed 100 hours. If you're being exposed 1,000 hours, it's different. You're being exposed to different things. If you're being exposed to 10,000 hours, for example, you have experienced different situations, different scenarios. So that means you are better prepared, not because of the time, but your exposure, right? So it seems like here, you will not promote someone to be a supervisor before he achieves X amount of experience. So here it's not like a quantity really, it's more like to make a relation so the person could correlate to, in my opinion.
Okay, makes sense, thank you.
The anxious mother thus answered hesitantly. 304. Why she was not giving, I have 300 hours. Because she knew that 300 hours was something to be kind of ashamed, really, you know? Mm-hmm. Because how does it work? Once I said one study from Astral City that bonuses aura, bonuses time, or how they call here, many, I don't know how they call it, let's say bonuses, is a currency. It's a currency, it's money. Has exactly the same, we can make the same comparison as the bonuses as money. Why I'm saying that? To you to be allowed to have a home on your own, you need to have the minimum amount of bonuses to be granted a home. This is described here in the book. If you want to do so, if you work, if you have an activity, you are paid in bonuses. So let's change the word, pineapple. Now we're not using bonuses as word anymore, pineapple. David worked 8 hours today. He got 2 pineapples. Because I'm a bit greedy, I did overtime. I've worked 12 hours today. So I got 2 pineapples on health. Why am I making that comparison with pineapples? Because it doesn't mean, doesn't matter what we are calling that. But the function of the bonuses or the pineapples are exactly the same as money here. You are not able to buy your house unless you had worked. You're not able to do something unless you have accumulated pineapples. To be able to get my salary or my pineapples, I need to work. So why I'm saying that? Because we still are pretty much tied to what we've been told for centuries. We have to go to hell or to heaven. If I'm going to hell, I'm screwed. I will burn eternally. If I'm going to heaven, I'll be in paradise. I don't need to work. I don't need to do anything. I'll have angels feeding me, bringing me everything, right? But it's not like that. We have enough information coming from the mediums, from the spirits, telling us otherwise, that we still need to have our activities. We still need to work. We still need to progress constantly until we return. And the same thing will start again, right? I'm bringing that to your attention just to say that on the other side, it's pretty much like on this side. We have the very same responsibilities and duties on both sides of the life. Of course, we have some differences. The matter is different. Some situations are different. But when we study people like Andre Luiz, for example, if we are truly reading properly what is written in the book, we'll see there are so many things that are so common to us today, and he's describing as something on the other side. So, yeah. So now we spoke a little bit about bonuses, so that was very interesting. So let me see where the ancient mother, blah, blah, blah. It is a pity, continued Clarence, smiling, that you should have been lodged here for over 6 years. Oh dear. Divide 6 years by the amount of 300 hours she had, or 300 bonuses. Very little. She basically did nothing, right? So 6 years, and should have given the colony only 304 hours of work. Yet, as soon as you recovered from your trials in the lower regions, I offered you a meritorious occupation in the vigilance patrols of the Ministry of Communication. And now very interesting is the answer. But that was intolerable work, she interrupted. An incessant struggle against malevolent entities. You couldn't expect me to adapt to it. Clarence went on unperturbed. After that, I found you a place with the Brothers of Support for redeeming service. Worse still, she protested. Those chambers are always crowded with filthy creatures. I couldn't stand their swearing, their immorality, their squalor. Realizing your difficulties, continued the minister, I send you to cooperate in the world of mentally disturbed entities. But can anybody's saints put up with them? Inquired the rebellious petitioner. I really did my best, but the multitude of raving souls is enough to scare anybody. My efforts did not stop there, proceeded our patient benefactor calmly. I then place you in the investigating and research department of the Ministry of Elucidation. But you, sister, probably impatient at my unwelcome interest, deliberately retired to the park of repose. So that's the kind of person that nothing was good enough for her, right? And it's pretty much like what we are, right?
Yeah.
We are always complaining about something. We are always find a way not to do something because it's hard, it's difficult, it's dirty or whatever. But that lady reflects a lot on us. Ah, no, you're not right. Okay, let me make you a question. I will give you an opportunity to work on a mediumship meeting. No, I'm not ready. No, I'm afraid. No, I don't like. No, I'm busy today. No, I'm okay. So you cannot go today. I have another day, another date of the week you can do. No, that date I'm also busy. I cannot do it. So we always find an answer to justify what we don't want to do because we don't want to do. Simple as that, right? But then when something goes wrong, then we are very sharp to complain. I found that place unbearable, explained the Kyrillos matron. I couldn't possibly endure the atmosphere of strange fluids, exhausting experiments, and harsh supervisors. So now she's complaining about the supervisors too. So we are pretty much like that, because when we are working in a place, we complain about everything: salary, time, working hours, bosses, colleagues. We complain about everything, right? Remember, my friend, resumed the devoted and enlightened minister, that assistance has two inseparable companions: service and humility. In order to help others, we must first obtain the collaboration of benefactors, friends, and servants. Before being able to render assistance to those we love, it is essential that we establish currents of sympathy, without which no efficient aid is possible. The peasant, and I'm going to stop here so one thing. So we have a nice picture of that lady already, right? Grumpy, lazy, not really caring about anything or anyone, right? So I think it would be fair to say that her energy, her vibration was not a top notch, right? Was middle below level, if I can say like that. And she wanted to see the family. And people may think, oh, poor mother, why they don't let her go closer to the baby, to the family? It's not because they don't want to help her. It's because if she go closer to the baby, she'll create some harm to the baby, to the member of the family she loves and miss. That's why sometimes when they are attached to the family members on earth, after a period of time, they are helped, even if they don't know, they are helped and moved away from that house, from that family, to a place where they can relearn how to walk, how to proceed in the spiritual life before they can return to be close to the loved ones. It's not because they are mean, it's because they are trying to protect both. And sometimes it's hard to explain. The peasant who tills the soil earns the gratitude of those who enjoy the harvest. The workman who satisfies his exacting superintendents, carrying out the orders scrupulously, is providing nourishment for his family. The servants who obey in the spirit of cooperation wins the goodwill of his master, his companions, and all those interested in his work. So you see, no average administrator can ever be useful to his loved ones if he has not yet learned how to obey and serve worthily. Let everybody keep in mind that all useful service belong above all to the universal giver, God, and that it must be carried out no matter what difficulties or sufferings it may cause. So now we're thinking, should we allow the mother to go closer or not?
No, I think my not that she just not only deserve because she has not got the hours. I think the hour, my understanding is that if the more hours you do, the more you understand the natural laws, how everything works. So then you are better up to help them because you understand. I think if she goes now, she would try to get the way that she thinks should happen without any other. I think that's not only the bad vibrations of she being there as well. She will try to get her way because she has not put others above herself yet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. One thing that I think we should mention a little bit here, Denise, is that this effort should start here when we are incarnated, because we also earn the same bonuses when we are here. We earn the same credit, the same companionship, the same friendship when we are here. If I don't do anything here, when you arrive on the other side, what do you want to do? Nothing, because you don't do anything here. But if you start to work, if I can use that word, work here, when you arrive on the other end, you are already familiar with that. You don't want to even waste time. As soon as you start to get on your feet, you want to start to work again. And that's the main difference of how we will arrive on the other end. If we understand the spirituality, if you understand that the life goes on, and if we are used to work here in His name, we will arrive better on the other end. Perhaps we're not going to be someone worthy to go to a place like that, but we will be better anyway. Nosso Lar is in one level, but there are other places we can be in other different levels. That is way better than be homeless, if I can say like that. Let's say that if I'm staying in the lower zone, I'll be like homeless on weather, maybe being mugged or things like that. Who wants to be homeless? No one. So when I see people, oh, well, I don't have time to, well, I will think about God when I'm a bit older. And then in 10 years' time, another opportunity will come. I'm still too young. I'll think about that when I'm retired. Okay, I'll come back in 25 years. Now that you're retired, can you give a little bit of your time to charity, to God? Well, I'm so tired, you know, I'm too old. Now my body cannot really cope with that. We are never ready if we don't want to be ready. After a short pause, he resumed, what then would you do on earth if you have not yet learned how to withstand here? I would not doubt your devotion to your sons, but as it is, you would arrive there as paralytic mother, incapable of rendering any efficient assistance. To deserve the joy of helping loved ones, we must enlist the goodwill of many of our brothers whom we in turn have helped. We need to understand what we call the universal family. Today, we may only know each other through the Zoom, but perhaps in the past, we were relative. We were mothers, sons, neighbors, friends, who knows? And today, when I have the opportunity to help someone face to face, or let's say in a mediumship meeting, who knows who they were? The most important is the amount of lessons they are bringing to you today. Hopefully, we will be able to learn with what they are suffering today. And what they are suffering today, praise God, will be able to prevent us to repeat. So we are learning with them. So we need to help, and as we move on and we help them, we give assistance, we start to create a network. That's a word I was trying to find. Today, on the industry, on the business, we always want to have a better network. Because if I lose my job, I can call someone, I can interact with someone, so I can get a pay rise or whatever. Today in the industry and the business world, network is the key. I have to create a network. LinkedIn and things like that, right? I have to create that. On the spiritual world is the same. I have to create my network of friends, of enlightened spirits. And there's only one way to create that network: practicing charity, helping others, incarnated or discarnated. And then this network will start to gradually increase. So eventually, the day I need, because we all will need one day to be helped. We all will. I will have people ready to help me, or at least to give me a little bit of water when I'm thirsty. Perhaps my conditions are so bad that's the only thing they can do: leave a glass of water close to me. But that's better than nothing. So we need to realize that in life, everything's a network, and we need to create that network. If you give no cooperation, you cannot expect to receive any. Now, so I love this topic today. We don't pray, we don't think about God, we don't give enough time to Him. Can you help me here? No, I cannot. No, I'm busy. Today, I have a movie. Tomorrow, I have my football, whatever. We always have something else. We are never available to Him. But the day we need, we ask for His help. But if I don't have enough credits, how far he'll be able to help me. And there's a lot of people that say, I don't believe in God. I used to, but every time I needed, I never had an answer. The answer has been given, but the person was not in condition even to listen. The person was not in condition to receive more than that glass of water that I was talking about a few minutes ago. So we need to have that network. We need to give ourselves to the network, because one day, everyone we are helping may be eventually able to help me. And if I have that positive network, if I need him, it will be much easier for him to interact with me, to help me, than if I don't have that network at all. Now imagine I have a nice network, I have no network at all, and I have a negative network. So how he will interact with me if I'm neutral or I have a negative network? It's way more complicated. So we have the key elements, we have the key power to help ourselves, helping others. But it's very difficult for people to understand. And I realize that. That is the law. And if you, my sister, possess nothing of your own to give, you will have to turn to others for voluntary contribution. But how will you obtain it when you have not shown anything, not even good feelings? Go back then to the park of repose where you have been lodging lately, and give the subject serious attention. We shall take it up again. We are all a bit like her. We want everything. I'm in pain, I want to be helped. I need something, I want to be helped. But when we are in the position to help, we always find an excuse not to. The disappointed woman sat down, drying her tears. The minister then looked at me and said kindly, "Your turn, my friend." I rose hesitantly and approached him to present my request. As I study here, my heart pounding, I felt like a diffident student about to face a strict examining board, disconcerted by the sight of that woman in tears. Yeah, go on. I thought someone wanted to say something, sorry. And awed by the minister's serene authority. I trembled in my shoes, regretting having sought the interview. Would it have been better to have held my peace and waited patiently for superior deliberations? At that time, because he heard what has happened to that lady, he's already thinking, oh my God, I screw up here. What am I doing here now? Oh my God. He's going to say the same thing to me, you know? So would it be presuming too much to apply for medical duties in the hospital where I was patient? I wished that I could retreat hurriedly to my room and forget all about yesterday's aspiration. But that was quite out of the question now. The Minister of Assistance, sensing my innermost intentions, addressed me in a firm tone of voice. I'm ready to hear you, my friend. No way back now. Although a prey of indecision, I was about to instinctively solicit any magical activity in the colony when my conscience prompted warning. Why ask for special work? would there not be falling again into human error, reverting to that old vanity which does not tolerate any occupation but the one benefiting one's special status on the schooling? These thoughts restored my equilibrium, and rather confused, I began. Well, I took the liberty to come to you today to ask your assistance in procuring some sort of work to me. Well, he changed his mind already. Instead of asking to be a doctor, he's any work. Now that the treatment received, he has restored my health, I am beginning to miss my old occupations. Any task will be welcome as long as it keeps me from inactivity. So you see, that opportunity that he had to listen to the friendly conversation between Clarence and that lady was good enough to make him think about himself and to reevaluate what he had to ask. I'm saying that because we need to learn what to ask. I want a nice car, I want a nice flat, I want this, I want money, I want everything, but I need to learn what to ask. And sometimes even when I ask something, when I receive, I'm not able to identify what I receive. Because in my mind, I only want to have bright things. Sometimes what I'm asking is not exactly what I need. So it's a difficult balance. Clarence looked at me long and intently, and if trying to gauge my innermost thoughts. I see, with your lips, you ask for any kind of work, but deep in your heart, what you really miss is your consulting room, your patients, and all the atmosphere of medical service with which the Lord designed you to honor you on earth. You see, we may lie to us, but lie to others is not the same thing. So far, his words were most encouraging, and with my heart filled with hope, I nodded in assent. After a long pause, the minister proceeded. I think he's not going to get what he wants. You must not forget, however, that very often our Father honors us with his confidence, and that we often betray, here we go. This word betray is not a nice start. We often betray his trust by underestimating the dignity of the call. You, for instance, went through your medical courses on earth, surrounded by every facility. You never knew the price of a single book, as your parents' generosity saw to all your needs. As soon as you graduated, lucrative positions were already waiting for you. Thus, you were spared the poor doctor's hard struggle to build a practice. You prospered most rapidly in your career. Unfortunately, you transformed the advantage you obtained into a means of bringing about the premature death of your physical body. While young and strong, you committed numerous abuses in the exercise of the profession which Jesus granted you. At that firm but kind lecture, I felt strangely disturbed, but managed to reply respectfully. I recognize the justice of your observation, but I should be grateful if you would grant me the means of repaying my debts by devoting myself, heart and soul, to the patients in this hospital. Well, do you think that's really what he means? You know, or it's just like, oh dear, he caught me here, you know, he could see things I really was thinking, and we'll see. A very noble impulse, said Clarence without severity. Nevertheless, it must be remembered that the exercise of a profession on earth is a call from our Father summoning his creatures to come into divine temples of service. For us, here a degree is a mere identification card, but on earth, it usually means to open door to all sort of abuse. Sometimes we really think we are top notch of the class. We are the best of what we do. We have PhDs, blah, blah, blah. But when we move to the other side, none of this matters. None of what we give importance like that here will really matter on the other side. It's what we do.
Guilherme, but sure, if you have PhD, I mean, you study quite a lot, you have the knowledge. So should I know that not in moral states, but in knowledge, you applied yourself, you learn something very deeply, or even so.
So
don't
what are you
get some
trying
credit
to
for that, you know? I mean, you are increasing your knowledge because you could go all your life having the opportunity to study, but decide just not to, instead of increasing your knowledge. Isn't increasing your knowledge on learning some kind of explanation?
Let me give you some food for thought. We have a doctor that used to rape his patients. We have doctors that are willingly committing abortions. We have engineers that are using their intelligence to build weapons, bombs. We have PhDs of any sort that's the only thing they are. They don't help anyone. They don't help even their own family. They are not capable of extend a hand to anyone. But let's go back to LinkedIn. If you see my profile on LinkedIn, I have courses and courses, PhDs, you know, I'm very good. I'm very good. But I will not put in the LinkedIn that I'm an abortionist practitioner. I will not do it. I will not put in my LinkedIn that at that period in my career, because I had problems or whatever, I decided to rape people in my office and things like that. I will not put in my LinkedIn that I have used my mechanical knowledge to build an atomic bomb to kill millions of people. So I'm afraid my answer for you is no. This will not open you any doors on the other side. Sometimes the person that was cleaning the toilets, the janitor of the university, will have way better conditions on the other side than me. Because when I was there gathering all sorts of diplomas, that person could not afford a diploma, but was helping everyone, was cleaning everyone's toilet, not complaining, assuming he or she was grateful to have that job, because that job was the one who was feeding the family. No, on the other side, your titles mean nothing. What you've learned, if well used, yes.
Okay.
If you use that positively, not only to you, but to the society, helping people, then it's different.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. The person who receives such a card is given the opportunity to study and cooperate with the Lord in his divine work on the planet. We receive constantly numerous opportunities to cooperate with him. Numerous opportunities. But sometimes we ignore all of them. Those opportunities could be someone knocking on my door, asking for a little bit of food. Could be someone in the streets who felt, and instead of love, I decide to help. We don't know. We don't know when we will have the opportunity to work in his name. But if you do have an opportunity, it's better not miss, because we don't know when we're going to have a next one. And if I have a problem in the streets, I don't care who's going to help me. I just need the help. I will not judge you. Just help me. If I'm knocking on your door asking for food, I can guarantee you I'm feeling pretty bad already. Because I never had to go under this in my life, and this life at least. But I can imagine how hard must be to someone to beg for food. Especially if it's not only for him or for her, it's for the kids. It must be very hard, very, very hard. So we have the opportunity almost daily to cooperate with him. And we ignore. We constantly ignore. We all of us, we constantly ignore his call to help. But if we put our mind to make an evaluation on the end of the day, ask ourselves, let's ask ourselves, how many opportunities I had today to help someone? And when that kind of thing happens, is because we are helping him. And when we are helping someone, I'm helping myself in the reality, because it's delayed the cause and effect. So how many opportunities I missed to help myself daily, weekly, monthly? A lot. We all have missed a lot. This principle is applicable to all earthly activities, regardless of their nature and class conventions. You, my brother, were granted a medical card and consequently were admitted into the temple of medicine. However, your line of conduct does not justify my endorsing your present wish. Here we go. I told you guys, he started asking for something that he would regret. How could I appoint you to treat spirits patients when on earth you insisted on limiting your professional observation to the physical body? Nowadays, our doctors are having way better exposure to the spiritual world, to what is beyond the matter. In some countries, they have even on university some class teachings about spirituality and science. States, Brazil, here in UK, I don't know. But they have better means today. I would not deny your capacity as excellent physiologist, but the field of life is much wider. What would you think of a botanist who based his definitions on a mere examination of the dry bark of a few trees? A great number of earthly physicians prefer mathematical conclusions in their anatomical work. Now, I quite agree that mathematics is a most respectable science, but it is not the only one in the universe. As you are already aware, a doctor cannot draw the line at diagnosis and terminologies. He must go deeper and scrutinize the innermost recesses of the soul. He's a problem. He's a problem. On Earth, many of your colleagues become true slaves to academic conventionalism because of their professional life. Very few succeeded in crossing prejudices. This is very hard too. The rare exceptions are scoffed by society and looked down upon their colleagues. Even today, that's very true. Huh? We have to remember that this book has 75 years or more that was written. And even today, this is pretty much what we can find. I was lost. Before I move on, let me just talk about prejudices. One of the main breaks of our evolution are our prejudices. We create prejudices based in what we've been told or based in what is positive to me. But every time we create one or we learn one, would be much more beneficial for us if we would not judge, if you would not put ourselves in a position to do anything like that, because we are wasting time at least. I was lost in amazement. I had never dreamed of such lofty notions of professional responsibility. I was staggered by the idea of a college degree being merely a ticket given, admittance into zones of work and collaboration with the Lord. Speechless. I waited for the Minister of Assistance to resume his elucidations. As you see, he went on. Have not prepared yourself for your hours. I like the way he says, because he's very straightforward. As you see, he went on, you have not prepared yourself for our activities. Generous benefactor, I ventured to say, I understand the lessons and I submit myself to the obvious. Very nice. Trying to keep back my tears, I begged humbly, I'm willing to accept any kind of occupation in this colony of work and peace. Clarence, showing me a deep look of approval, answered, my friend, you have listened to a few bitter truths. Now, let me add a little word of encouragement. You cannot as yet become a doctor in the Astral City, but in due time, you will be admitted as an apprentice. Your present situation is not the best. Nevertheless, it is a promising one, owing to the intercessional petition sent to the Ministry of Assistance on your behalf. My mother, I am quite transported with bliss. Yes, assented the minister, your mother and other friends in whose heart you planted the seed of gratitude. Soon after your arrival here, I requested that the Minister of Elucidation have your records sent to me. I have already examined them most carefully and found much rashness and thoughtfulness and many abuses. I also found that in your 15 years of medical practice, 6,000 poor patients receive free medical attendance in your clinic. Most often, you went through those meritorious deeds quite heedlessly, oh, difficult word. Still, you can see now that even if carelessly done, a good deed attracts blessing to the one who carries it out. Of 6,015, of 6,000, 15 have not forgotten you and have been sending incessant appeals on your behalf. I must explain also that even the forgotten benefit of your work waits in your favor. I'll stop here. I don't want to be in a rush. I'll stop here for the next time. And I think one of the things that are important is to realize that we have a lot to learn. And the only way I know that we'll be better supported, we'll create our network, is helping others. There's no other way. There's no other way. I'm studying a lot. I'm the best speaker for the Spiritism. Doesn't mean anything if you only use your voice and do nothing. I'm going every time to that church. Yeah, and what else? I'm going to every mediumship meeting, but I'm incapable of having a positive thought for those spirits. And we need to reevaluate what are our goals, really. So I think that's it for today. 3 minutes out. Any question, any comment before we wrap up for today?
No, thank you very much, Guilherme. It's a good one.
Thank you.
All right then. So let me